Everyone, this is Ajit here. Welcome to Chill one more time and welcome to the world of Versa SD-WAN. So in this video, we are going to learn about what is Versa SD-WAN, focus more on the what question, that as this video is for freshers or someone who is very new to Versa SD-WAN or someone who has a little experience on Versa SD-WAN. This video is divided into three components. Number one will be what is SD-WAN, where how traditional network moved to SD-WAN and what are the components that make these things happen. Second will be where we'll be understanding what is Versa SD-WAN on a very high level, and then third part will be your Versa SD-WAN interview questions and answers that will make you to understand about Versa SD-WAN, their component. So focus mostly on the what questions, where you'll be learning everything that help you to make your base strong related to Versa SD-WAN. Make sure to watch this entire video from start to the end so that you can understand. If you're new to SD-WAN or if you're new to Versa SD-WAN, this video is going to help you in all the aspect. So if you haven't subscribed my channel, do subscribe my channel and do share with your friends. Join the channel as a member and start using the benefit of the member only benefit. And do mention in the comment section how you like this video, what you don't like in this video, so that we can work on it and we can provide you the content which you are looking for. SD-WAN stands for Software Defined Wide Area Network. It's a technology that simplifies how business connect their locations. So as you can see from this, SD-WAN has two acronyms, SD, that's software, and then WAN. So the first question should come to your mind, where is the software in software defined networking, right? So if you think about this, let's understand the legacy network that we have before we move to SD-WAN. How actually network thinks, how WAN part think about your network, how it works in terms of functionality. So as we all know that every WAN part box that we have, it divides itself into two components. One is control plane, and then it's a data plane. Control plane is where talk about your routing protocols. Data plane talk about your routing table, your QS, firewall, everything, as you can see on the diagram. Now control plane is your brain and data plane is your actual data that you have in your box. So data plane is talk about what data you have, and control plane talk about how you have to route that data that is inside the data plane component. Now, in case if that uh, WAN box that you have in your network, if that goes down, and if there's no reachability to that WAN box from any other available path, in that case, there will be a black hole in the network. That leads to a big problem and big challenge in the network. So this is another, biggest reason that SD-WAN evolution come into the picture, and from there, this come to into the mind of all the vendor that we have for the SD-WAN to remove this control plane, the brain of any WAN box from the box itself, like remove this control plane section from the routing from the router that you have and move it to the a different section. So where is that different section? That's we are going to understand. So in SD-WAN, we move control plane to overlay that's on top of that in the virtual world, and data plane will remain in the box itself, and that portion is called the underlay. So your overlay talk about your software based component where you actually deploy your controller. In SD-WAN, if you talk about, we have a different controller that we, for example, vSmart, or if you have the vBond. Uh, so they are different components that we have in SD-WAN. So in overlay, we deploy these components, these controllers. Basically, your vSmart is your brain, and then in data plane, we deploy the your physical hardware box that you have, like your WAN boxes that you have, even in the form of a virtual box also we have in the network. So we divide the entire in SD-WAN network in two components. That's called the overlay and underlay. Overlay is talk about your controller, where it will control the entire network with a centralized management way via different tool they have, and each vendor have their own tool to manage the entire network. And in underlay, we have the hardware or the virtual machine. That's a WAN box that communicate with the overlay to route the traffic or to control the for the entire to and from management of the network. Now this led to another question, like how does underlay and overlay talk to each other? What is the communication mechanism they use to talk to each other? So as we know, overlay is your software component and underlay is your physical component. How there is a communication happens, and this communication happen with the help of routing protocol. So each vendor that we have in the market, they have their own routing protocol. Like one of the example is Cisco. She use OMP in the overlay to communicate with the traffic or the network that we have in the underlay. The same way here in the Versa, we have the IBGP and other protocols or BGP. Now let's understand how this SD-WAN integrated itself into Versa SD-WAN. Like what Versa SD-WAN, how it divides its component between underlay and overlay, what component it has on overlay, what component it has in underlay, and how this communication take place. Okay, so let's understand from the Versa point of view. So inside the Versa brain that we have the main component that we have on the top, which is called the overlay, we call the head end. So head end is your central gateway that manages the network made up of director, analytics, and controller components. Let's understand what Versa SD-WAN architecture is, how Versa SD-WAN actually works, and which protocol run between each component, because that is give you a basic foundation to understand the communication and also help you to troubleshoot further. So this diagram will should be in your mind always before you go further about Versa SD-WAN, or before you do any kind of troubleshoot also in the future. So from this diagram, you can see that there are two components, as we know, underlay and overlay. In the overlay, we have Versa controller, Versa director, and Versa analytics. And in underlay, we have Versa devices. Now, Versa controller communicate with Versa director, Versa controller communicate with Versa analytics, and Versa director communicate with Versa analytics. So you can see from this diagram that there's no direct communication between any devices of any site with Versa director or with Versa analytics. So every device has, or every site has to talk to Versa controller, and the Versa controller will talk to Versa director or Versa analytics. So you can understand how Versa controller plays the role. So any site, site A device, if wants to site B device, the default tunnel that is already created, that's called the IPsec or VXLAN data overlay tunnel that is formed between each devices of each sites. Okay. Now the protocol that run between Versa device and Versa controller is your BGP and IPsec control protocol. And between Versa controller and Versa director, we have netcov, and between Versa controller and Versa analytics is syslog and IPFix, and between Versa director and Versa analytics, it is HTTPS REST API, as you can see from this diagram. So, no, Versa controller, which is your centralized management system, manage your entire network. How does Versa, send this information to the Versa analytics about any kind of issue, any kind of activity that happen in any of the site. So any site that wants to send its log of its network to the Versa analytics, it has to send to the Versa controller, and then Versa controller will send is that information to Versa analytics in the form of IPFix. IPFix is a kind of protocol that run on the basis of TCP. That's a huge discussion that we will be further discussing in our next video about this. But you just have to need to make understand that between each site there's IPsec tunnel. From Versa devices to controller, there's a IPsec tunnel form, and the communication happen with the routing protocol BGP. That's the main primary protocol that we have. And between Versa controller and Versa director, we have netconf, and between Versa controller and Versa analytics, we have syslog or IPFix, and between Versa director and Versa analytics, we have, we access it via HTTPS via the GUI method. So I hope this screen is very much clear and image is very much clear to you about the Versa SD-WAN architecture. So if you have this image always in your mind, you should know which protocol actually helps to, look after in kind of any issues and how it actually works. Okay. What is Versa SD-WAN? Versa SD-WAN is a software-defined networking solution that enables secure, reliable, and cost-effective connectivity across branch offices, data center, and clouds. So as you can see from this diagram, we have deployed the SD-WAN in data center, and from there we are controlling and managing your entire network. Okay, so it's a centralized way that we deploy the SD-WAN controller in the data center, and accordingly we deploy the WAN edge boxes on the remote sites or on the hub sites. And from there, we manage the entire network. Okay, how and what and where, that will be going to understand in this video. What are Versa devices? So you can see on the branch, we can use V70, V90, V110. In data center devices, we use the V200, V700 series of devices. Then we have the virtual devices like any other SD-WAN. It's a VM on ESXi and KVM and Hyper-V also. And then cloud services, we have AWS, Azure, or GCP, and then the orchestration devices, which are the main component of Versa, which are director, analytics, and controller. So what they are and what their use, that we're going to understand later part. What is Versa operating system? So it is a software image installed on branch and hub devices, providing routing, security, and SD-WAN features. So it's the same way we have in legacy, we have the iOS image. The same way in the Versa, we have the Versa operating system, and it do the same kind of work that iOS does. Okay, the only feature difference is that iOS we use for the legacy, and the for Versa OS basically used for the SD-WAN features. What are the main components of Versa SD-WAN? Number one is Versa Director. Number two is Versa Controller, and then we have Versa Analytics. Now each component perform different functions. For example, Versa Director is a centralized management platform where you can manage the entire network, push the configuration, and also provision the new device. Where Versa Controller will run as the control protocol, whereas Versa Controller runs on the SD-WAN as a control protocols, managing your overlay tunnels, authentication, and peering with other devices. And then we have Versa Analytics that perform the function of analyzing your entire network and generating the report as per your performance of the each network component that we have. It contain the deep historical analysis, and then on the basis of that, it provide you the report so that you can check what is lacking on which component. What is head-end in Versa SD-WAN? In Versa SD-WAN, the head-end is a central gateway that manages the network, made up of components like the Versa Director, Versa Analytics, and Versa Controller. It acts as the core control and management point located in a data center or the cloud, which communicates with the remote branch devices to set up, manage, and monitor the network. So as you can see from this diagram that in data center, we deploy three main component of Versa, which are Versa Controller, Versa Director, and Versa Analytics. And in together, they are known as head-end devices. So that means they are the front-end box from which your entire SD-WAN network will be managed and controlled. And next question is, what is Versa Concerto? The Versa Concerto is an orchestrator and management platform that provides an easy-to-use interface to configure, automate, and monitor Versa OS devices in secure SD-WAN. The Concerto orchestrator uses the service of Versa Director, Versa Controller, and Versa Analytics, collectively called the DCA complex, in managing Versa OS devices. It is an orchestration layer that sits above the Versa DCA components, as shown in the following figure. So you can see Concerto, that means it's a orchestration and management platform through which you basically use the services of Director, Analytics, and Controller. And from there, you monitor your Versa devices, which you have deployed on the remote sites. How does Versa SD-WAN ensure secure communication between sites? It uses IPsec tunnels to encrypt traffic between branch sites and data center, ensuring confidentiality and integrity. What is ZTP in Versa SD-WAN? Was zero touch provisioning allow automatic onboarding of new branch devices without manual configuration. So they connect to the director, download the configuration, and join the SD-WAN fabric automatically. So as you can see from this diagram, step one, say a new device connect to the internet, and that then it goes to find director. But director will automatically find the device, and it will try to authenticate it. And once it gets the authentication, then it will download the configuration, and then it will download or join your Versa network. So what are the deployment mode of Versa SD-WAN? So you can see that multiple ways we can deploy in hub and spoke way, full mesh, partial mesh, or hybrid mode, which contains all of these or some of them. That's called the hybrid mode. So what routing protocol does Versa SD-WAN support? Versa supports static routing, OSPF, BGP, and RIP for dynamic route advertisement and learning. What is service chain in Versa SD-WAN? Service chain defines the sequence of network functions like firewall, NAT, URL filtering, and the traffic must pass through. Or what is application-aware routing? Versa SD-WAN can identify applications using deep packet inspection and route them based on policies such as performance, latency, or link costs. So what exactly it says that each application that you have, if you want to route your application on the basis of performance, latency, and the link cost, so that which application will follow the MPLS link, which application will follow the broadband link on the basis of payload header. So it uses the deep packet inspection. On that basis, it route the entire packet. We'll understand this in later on in this video. So what is deep packet inspection? A deep packet inspection inspects packet header and payloads to identify application and apply security or routing policies accordingly. How does Versa handle WAN path selection? It continuously monitors path performance, latency, loss, jitter, and dynamically select the best available path per policy. What is an overlay and underlay in SD-WAN? Underlay is a physical network where you have like MPLS, broadband LT, and everything. You have your physical devices. And the overlay where you have your Versa director, your head end, where you have virtual SD-WAN tunnels, IPsec built over underlay, link for logical connectivity. So there is a IPsec tunnel built between uh, each devices, between IPsec, between underlay and overlay, so that packets will be encrypted and all the transmission will happen on that basis. What are Versa templates? Templates in Versa Director are used to standardize configuration across multiple sites, reducing manual effort and errors. So what actually, exactly template does that if you have a set of configuration that wants to apply on all the devices, entire on multiple sites. So you create one template and then you push that template to to director, and then from director you can push to multiple sites. So one creation of template can help you to do the same configuration on multiple sites. How do you monitor traffic in Versa SD-WAN? Versa SD-WAN uses Versa Analytics to monitor traffic via its dashboard or CLI command to check interface status, tunnel status, and application usage. Versa Analytics is a big data platform that analyzes logs from the network, provide insights, reports, and forensic data. So what are the difference between Versa Director and Versa Analytics? The Versa Director is the management and orchestration platform for configuring, monitoring, and automating a network, while Versa Analytics is the big data platform that analyzes logs from the network to provide insights, reports, and forensic data. Data provides real-time operational control, whereas analytics provide historical analysis and deep visibility into usage, patterns, and security events. So think of data as the control panel for a network and analytics as the business intelligence tool that feed into the control panel. So what exactly does that mean? That Versa Data is a centralized management system for which you actually configure, monitor, and manage the entire network. But what Versa Analytics does, it check the historical performance of your network, and according to that performance, it gives you the report so that you can check the performance of each component. How does Versa identify applications? So it uses deep packet inspection to analyze packet and recognize applications. What is tenant in Versa SD-WAN? Logical partition used for multi-tenancy. Each tenant can have its own configuration, policy, and analytics. What is a forwarding profile? A Versa SD-WAN forwarding profile defines the properties and characteristics of WAN circuit for traffic, including their priority and load balancing method. Is configured in the Versa Director or Consultation interface under service SD-WAN forwarding profile and is then associated with SD-WAN policy to direct traffic. What is SLA monitoring in Versa? Measures parameters like latency, jitter, and packet loss to make routing decisions. What is a BFD session versus SD-WAN? Bidirectional forwarding detection provides fast failure detection between two endpoints. How does Versa ensure redundancy? Versa ensure redundancy by supporting HA high availability using active standby or active node pairs. That means if your site have the dual router, dual WAN devices, you can use as an active standby the way we do in the legacy, or you can use both the link at the same time for MPLS and internet, making both the router as an active node pairs. What is active HA? As stated earlier, it means both devices will forward traffic simultaneously, providing load sharing and redundancy. So that means now you're going to load share the traffic between your MPLS and internet link. How can we monitor bandwidth usage in Versa? We can monitor bandwidth usage via Versa Analytics, dashboard or CLI command show interface statistics. What is traffic steering? It means selecting the most suitable path dynamically based on link performance or policy. What exactly does this mean? That whenever you have a multiple path, like for example, MPLS and internet, and you want to steer the traffic for each application, like, if MPLS link is not performing as per the requirement, then you can steer traffic, move the traffic to the internet link. In the same way, this is called as traffic steering, where you assess the link path, which path is performing better in the terms of latency, jitter, or the loss. Or if you have any centralized policy, accordingly, you can do the traffic steering. What is split tunneling? A feature allowing some traffic to go directly to the internet while other traffic goes through IPsec tunnels. So it means that now you are dividing your traffic between two destinations, like someone will go directly to the internet and others will be following your data path, the IPsec tunnels. What is control connection in Versa? A secure management channel between Versa directory and branch devices. So as we know, Versa directory is your management plane, and your branch devices, when there's a direct communication, that is called the control connection happening between the Versa directory and your branch side. What is data connection in Versa? Data connection is the actual transport tunnel used to carry user traffic. So that means your actual transport tunnel, that means the path that you have, the MPLS or internet link that you have, your actual transport link that you have, that carrying traffic is called the data connection. What is NGFW in Versa? Next generation firewall integrated in Versa OS that provides threat prevention, URL filtering, and intrusion detection. What CLI command is used to verify SD-WAN tunnel status? Through SD-WAN tunnel that shows the health, latency, and status of overlay tunnels that you have. How can we troubleshoot tunnel issues in Versa SD-WAN? So we can use below commands to troubleshoot the issues. What is log forwarding in Versa SD-WAN? So that means log forwarding means sending logs to external system like your syslog server, SIM, or Versa Analytics for monitoring your entire network. How is software upgraded in Versa devices? Versa using Versa Director, Device Upgrade Manager, or manually via CLI. So you can use your Versa Director, or you can use the CLI the way we used to do in the legacy system. What are the typical deployment topology supported by Versa SD-WAN? Below the deployment method, hub and spoke, full mesh, partial mesh, or hybrid, any of them you can use it. What routing protocols does Versa use inside the SD-WAN overlay? Well, Versa use BGP between CP and controller to exchange service routes, system routes, and TLOC information, which is the transport location information. So that's protocol run between your primary protocol that run between your CP and your controller. Does Versa form routing agency over IPsec tunnel? Well, no. Overlay BGP session is formed over the secure control channel. So there's no directly over IPsec tunnels. So there's no routing happens over IPsec tunnels. Okay, this IPsec tunnels form only for the encryption of packet, and this protocol which runs on the tunnel is your BGP. What happens in Versa if two paths have same SLA score? Interesting. Versa uses tiebreaker rules, path preference, policy priority. If nothing is there, then ECMP, that means equal cost multipath. Everything traffic will be equally shared between the available links. What is the difference between service route and system route in Versa? Service route means a route learned or advertised inside the SD-WAN overlay, BGP, and system route means underlay or transport route, but a static OSPF or DCP used only for control plane. I think it's very clear. So system route, talk about whatever routes it's learning or advertised inside your overlay, and system routes means underlay or transport route that we have. Within the underlay, we have the physical connectivity, and there we learn about the static route, OSPF route, whatever we are protocol that we are advertising or on the underlay, that is called the system route. What happens if control channel is up but data tunnel is down? Versa marks the path as TLOC down for data, but continues sending overlay BGP keep alive, keeping routes in routing table. But traffic is steered to other available TLOCs. So that means there's no loss to your current traffic. So your TLOC whenever, so if you have the MPLS internet link, and if one of the link goes down, then your traffic will be moved to the internet link with the available information that we have in the routing table. Why does CP sometimes not advertise LAN OSPF routes into overlay? Interesting question. So why on sometimes the routing protocol that we are using OSPF is not advertised to the overlay? Because route export required. So but basically it means explicit routing policy under. So what exactly? So you have to go to routing instances under that services protocol BGP export. So you have to do the export unless until you want to be using this port option, your LAN side network will not won't be advertised to the overlay. So that means no export means no advertisement. So underlay, and to establish the communication to follow the traffic from underlay to overlay, you have to use this port, select the export statement or option so that your LAN traffic will be moved to overlay. Does Versa prefer controller path or direct branch to branch path? Versa prefers direct branch to branch path if available. If not, it fall back to controller relay forwarding. Can Versa CP brings up IPsec tunnels without a controller? No. CP requires controller bootstrap to build the initial secure control channel and download the configuration.